late afternoon, folks. All right, this is going to be, might well be a new series, Sunday with the People's Pundit. We'll do it once in a while when I have something special I'd like to talk to you about, which today, unfortunately, I don't think it's a total waste of time because I'm happy to actually bring you the inside machinations of how these things start and how they work. I would much rather have spoken to you about how we're very close to hitting our goal for the public polling project, and we'll have a new poll we'll have to craft very shortly, which if you're on peoplespundit.locals.com, you already saw my post about that, and you're starting to give me some ideas now, some really cool ideas. But that's not what we're here for today. I want to show you the inner machinations, the embryonic stage of hippies and how this stuff works. All right. So I thought this would be a good learning, like a good lesson for everybody to learn, because this is how this goes. And there's no point responding to the attempts to goad you. All right. Just if I can give any, like media, alternative media, independent media personality, any advice whatsoever, it's that there really is no point to respond. Something Donald Trump should have learned pretty early. And he wanted to be everybody's friend. And he's like, oh, I'll sit down with Bob Woodward. I'll talk to the New York Times. Look, I learned that very early in my career. I've spent, and Laura will tell you, I've spent an hour on the phone with a fact checker, trying not only to give them, multiple fact checkers, trying not only to give them context, but to actually educate them on topics they have no idea what they're talking about. They get their press releases from their experts, and they get their directions from their editors, and they really have no interest whatsoever in finding out the truth or the facts and checking on them. They only have an agenda, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So Friday, I get an email, all right? And the email is through the local support network. It's like your tool to contact me if there's a problem, or if you need to directly contact me to ask me something, or you need locals to look into a technical issue, or you have a billing issue or something like that. They use the locals community support network to try to, because like you could see, and I'm going to show you because I screenshotted it and I'm going to put it up and show you in a graphic. They couldn't tell if they were really like talking to my team. Is there a team around me, or is this going to reach me directly? So it's half in different persons, right? So, directed toward me, then directed towards somebody who may be a handler for me or whatsoever. And they proceed to ask me some of the most ridiculous questions a journalist could ever ask somebody that they've clearly been assigned to cover. Or worse, sadly, really, this is an attempt to cancel or smear. And the topic of the conversation is not even a main, well, I mean, we've definitely spoken about it on Locals, but it's not what we mainly do on Locals, which is talk about voter registration, election statistics. If it has to do with stats, I'm going to weigh in on it. All right, but it's certainly not what the Locals page is all about. But that doesn't matter, because this is going to be used as an angle to try to create a hit piece. And it doesn't matter what the hell I say back. Like, these are the most asinine questions you're ever going to read. And it doesn't matter what I write back. That piece is already written. And I'm doing this to prove this to you, to explain this to you. Just a week or a couple weeks ago, our good friend Don sat down with Andrew from the K File and had a conversation with him about one of Don's clients for like a half an hour. And then they write the hit piece and write, there was no response from the campaign. There was no comment. And, there was no response to the request for comment from the campaign. And he had a printed retraction because, of course, Don had the receipts and what the hell are you talking about? We just sat down and spoke for like an hour, half hour, whatever it was. Because that piece was already written. Just like this one's going to be. All right. So, most people I talk to, they're like, this is great for you, man. This is great. Because the more they do this, and it is true, the more they do this to me, understand this, ladies and gentlemen, you made me popular. with like a wider audience. You gave me 250,000 followers on Twitter. All right. You put me on the most watched primetime news network in the country, the most watched primetime news show in the country. You did that for me. So by all means, you can absolutely keep trying. Keep it up. Every time you do, our locals community grows. You're going to help Laura and I get to our goal of having a locals ball. So this just, I mean, you're going to do this for me. I'm going to put this up, and it's from the BBC. It's from the British Broadcasting Corporation. Okay. One of the most corporate, and I have to say this, the most corporate. What does that even mean? The entire corporate media model is broken. The AP, just earlier, ladies and gentlemen, if you looked at my Twitter feed, the AP literally just, and they weren't alone, literally just got done a couple weeks ago trying to tell everybody that the shelves are not bare, and all of the photos you're seeing with empty shelves Biden tags are fake news. And these are people like, what are we doing? We're like pushing things over and making empty shelf spots to take pictures of. Okay, right, whatever. And Publix a few hours ago responding to somebody saying, damn, the shelves are empty at Publix. They wrote 2-3 tweets in a thread and laid in, indirectly laid into these people. Why? Because who pays the bills for these? When you have a commercial break, when you're watching CNN or Fox News, when you're flipping through the pages of the New York Times, or you're looking at the BBC.com, who is paying for these people? They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're not, they are for profit. Somebody has to give them money to keep the lights on. The difference was those advertisers 20 years ago, they dictated segments. Cheryl Atkinson's The Smear is a great book. It's a great example of how this works. But it isn't to the point now where they will assign people, right? So what happened last week to put the BBC on, right? What happened last week? Of course. And what actually went viral last week? My 30-minute rant against we all know who. So just like they get Project Veritas thrown off of Twitter, they start picking up the phone and they start calling people. I'm going to call my good buddies at this pharmaceutical company, blank pharmaceutical company, and I'm going to have them stop giving your organization money unless you shut this guy up. The entire model is broken. They couldn't tell you the truth if they wanted to, and they don't want to. It's all ideological. They approach every story as if it's already written. They already know what they want to write. It is rare in this business now to have somebody go out with pre-existing notions about a certain issue or a certain topic that they're going to cover, a story. And then they go out, they speak to people, they look through data, they look through evidence, and they come up with a completely different truth than what they believed before. And they write about it. Here it is. Let's put it up. Here's the message I get to my local support. Again, this is like if your Stripe payment didn't go through or something. Or you're a supporter and you click on a supporter only post and yet you can't see it or something. Or if there was something you subscribe for, like this is a legitimate use for it. If there's something you subscribe for and then later you were like, oh, you know what? I missed the voter analysis of Pennsylvania. Rich, can you show me? Because I dug through the post. I can't find it. Can you show me where the voter analysis is in the state of Pennsylvania? Because I really heard about it. That's why I subscribed and I really want to read it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not a legitimate use of my local support network. And I'm going to give you some time to read it for yourself, maybe 10 seconds. I blacked out the email, but I did not black out her name Because if you're going to go around asking questions like this to people, personal questions, then I'm going to name you. If you're willing to tell the world about my personal medical history, then I'm definitely going to name you. But I won't give everybody your email because that's just indecent. Hi, my name is Marina Sanchez, BBC Brazil correspondent in Washington, D.C. I've been following the page. Why? Are you interested in election data? And I would like to understand, where do the creators stand in some topics? And now, look, grammar and spelling aside, remember, it is a Brazilian correspondent. So, look, if I tried to write an email to somebody in Spanish, it would not come out as great. So, I'm not going to daunt on that. But, right, look out, Fallout Zone. Look at some of I showed this to some people. People who work for Fox, people who work for Newsmax, people who are in alternative media. They couldn't believe the line of questioning. I want to understand, where do the creators stand in some topics? Are you an anti-vax? An anti-vax. Are you an other? Do you deserve to have a Jewish star on your chest? First of all, I'm not going to respond to these questions. I'm just not going to. Because it doesn't matter what I say anyway, no matter how I respond to it. And you talk to anybody in public relations, they will tell you this is the truth. And here is my advice to the rest of you who get hit pieces like this, or the beginning, the embryonic stage of a hit piece. Here is my advice to you. No matter what you reply to her, you could go on and on. I served in the U.S. Army. I have immunizations up the wazoo. I never had a problem with that. Won't matter. None of that matters. They will find something in some context that you said to take it out, and they will smear you with it. These people redacted 500 words out of a transcript between the presidents of two nations to try to impeach one of them. These people went forward with a complete intel community constructed disinformation campaign. They don't care if they take me out of context. Have you been personally vaccinated? You believe this? Do you defend that people diagnosed with COVID-19 do not quarantine and risk to spread the virus as a way for society to achieve herd immunity? And then they always end it with "thank you very much." Best. Like they give a rat's you know what about my welfare. I think we all know what answers she already thinks she's deduced. I will say this, though. Do we have HIPAA laws anymore in this country? The only thing I will say is this. Is it anyone's damn business about my personal medical history? Is me being the People's Pundit, a public pollster who gives alternative and superior polling data to the public with, like the New York Post said, above average transparency? I am never going to let everyone forget about that characterization, because that is exactly what we were going for. Better, more accurate, and more transparent. Does any of that make anyone entitled to my personal medical history? You believe this? Even if it was the business of the state, who, by the way, in case nobody was paying attention last week, the Supreme Court said cannot mandate. The employer mandate is not constitutional. But that's irrelevant. I mean, even if it was the business of the state, is that not between the state and myself? I'm a veteran. I go to the VA. Wouldn't it be the purview of the Veterans Administration to ask me about my vaccination status? What gives her or any other reporter the right to ask me whether I'm vaccinated. Now, if I want to volunteer that information, I can do so. But I don't think I need to be any more clear than this. Because let me be as clear as I possibly can right now to any other reporter who thinks they may want to ask me this question. It is none of your goddamn business whether I'm vaccinated or not. And what they want, you know what they want to hear. And again, I'm trying to be very careful here because, like I said, it's so stupid for people to reply to these questions. It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter. I spent a half an hour on the phone with PolitiFact explaining to them what a change of address flag is. They still wrote the hit piece. They still completely took what I said out of context and hoped their readers were so ignorant that they didn't understand what a change of address flag was. Therefore, what I even meant. In all of my time, that's why I ranted and raved once about Snopes, which most people regard as left-wing. That's true, and I do too. But when credit is due, it's due. And out of all of these interactions with these people, out of all of my interactions with them over the years, the only one who was worth talking to and explaining anything to was them. I mean, it was a fact check. It was going to be written, so I'm like, whatever. I just spoke to PolitiFact about it. They ran their piece without even checking anything. And when Snopes called, at that point, the only reason why I continued to talk was because I felt like, what the hell do I got to lose? They're probably, if I don't, they're going to mirror what PolitiFact says anyway. And they didn't. They said, sorry, but even they got it wrong. This is not what he meant, and this is not what he's even talking about. And in fact, if you knew what a change of address flag was, then you would know what he meant. That was stunning to me and doesn't happen. This happens. Tell me with this line of questioning, they don't already have this story written. This is an attempt to paint me as something they want me to be. Why? Because if they can do that, then they can push the deplatform and they can try to discredit everything else that you do. This is what happens to people in today's America. This isn't even yellow journalism, biased journalism. These people go around with the explicit intent to destroy somebody. They knew they were lying about Nicholas Sandmann. They knew they were lying about Kyle Rittenhouse. And on this topic, which I'm not going to get into, they know they're lying. They know when somebody isn't telling the truth. They choose to report it or not. They're doing it on purpose, is my point. And if this was a legitimate attempt to try to get to, it would have been completely worded differently. I could show you some of the times we reach out to other people with inquiries trying to ask or get to the bottom of where they stand on something. First of all, I wouldn't ever have the audacity to ask about somebody's private medical history. It's none of your damn business. And by the way, if you watched the show, you would know where I stand on on pretty much anything. That's not the point. That puppy is expense paid. It is the embryonic stage of a hit piece. And I wish it wasn't. But over the years, the idealism in me has kind of been sapped out. When you watch reporters fabricate things about people time and time again, including yourself, when you watch Jim Acosta, the CNN, the #1 correspondent to cover Donald Trump, fake being attacked by a crowd of Trump supporters, you get kind of cynical. When you watch reporters cover for violent left-wing mobs who attack one of their own, you get kind of cynical. When you watch them be quiet as one of their own is vaporized by their favorite president, oops, accident, wrong target, drone didn't hit the mark, you get kind of cynical. So this is how it works, and I did this because, number one, the line of questioning is totally outrageous. Totally outrageous, way out of bounds. This is supposed to be the BBC. And number two, when it happens, you'll see. I didn't respond. I'm not going to respond. And watch. Mark my words. And this is sad because Don and I spoke a little bit about this on his show Saturday. This is it's just like some, kind of corny, like cliches, but it really is true. When you start to lose an argument, you try to persecute and censor those you're losing the argument to. If you're not interested in following, evidence or, the fact pattern of a story where it may lead you because you wanted it to lead somewhere else, then you start to try to silence the voices of those who disagree and dissent. And that is what this is. This is where we're at. And this came not 24 hours after OAN. I mean, they were within a few hours of each other. So it's very clear it's just basically open season. Go out. Go out and try to marginalize people who won't toe the line. With that in mind, by the way, sorry about missing out on that first stream. I don't know what happened. I think it was my attempt to use Wirecast again on Getter. So if you guys are interested, I'd like to try to run a test so we don't have that kind of thing happen again live. I just thought, we go back to the way it was. Adding another network wouldn't matter, but clearly it did. And I removed Facebook. I just don't see the value in streaming to Facebook anymore. And you'll notice I didn't stream to Facebook with this. We've been going over where our views come from. The Getter debut was great. I mean, we had like 5,000 views within like maybe, I don't know, a very short period of time. And the live audience was fairly decent, So between Rumble, YouTube, and Getter, I really think that's where we're just going to be at here. And of course, I'll still do Twitter's, Twitter's Twitter. And people tell me all the time, well, why haven't you moved off Twitter if this is the kind of crap you got to deal with on a daily basis? Well, when I have 200,000 followers on Getter, maybe I will at some point. But look, if you're still on Twitter and you haven't followed me on Getter, go ahead and do so because we are absolutely trying to do that. But I don't like the idea of echo chambers. You should be able to have a discussion with somebody. There shouldn't be reporters out there just trying to smear, sully the good name of people, because they dare to challenge a narrative. It is not the media's job to go after dissent. The media's job is to police the halls of power in this country and every other country. But at this point, Europeans have been on this downward slide for a long time. Same thing with Latin American countries and Eurasia down the line. It was like America really was, even England, ladies and gentlemen, they have a very different idea of free speech than what we traditionally believe to be the principle and the right, the inalienable right to freedom of speech. They always did have a very different opinion of that. And now in America, we were really the last, bastion for that ideal. And that's clearly under assault. After 6 weeks, Laura, my eyes are still dry. It's killing me. Or at least it is under these lights. You want to know my personal history on that too? You want to know what's going on with my eyes? You want me to get you a doctor's note? This is crazy. This is nuts. Again, that's the one thing I will respond to. It's none of your damn business. None of your damn business. But in the attempt to make me, this one question I really want to pull out, all right? Do you defend people diagnosed with COVID-19, obviously, which means to not quarantine and risk to spread the virus as a way for people to achieve, the society to achieve herd immunity? So, do you really think that's a legitimate question, or do you think that's an attempt to trick me into basically, saying like, oh, and see, he's dangerous. This is a dangerous view, and it's costing people their lives. If it was, this is the worst part about all of this, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Where is the honest discussion anymore? Where is the ability to truly debate anymore? It's just not there. This is right along the line with the good doctor's own email speaking with his colleague about how to destroy his fellow professionals. That is the topic of that email, which we discussed. You find that coincidental at all? Well, I don't. Not in the least. It's sad. Frankly, I find these attempts to persecute and censor people cowardly and weak. That's the raw truth of it. You can't poll as good as me. Don't attack my methodology and my professional ethics. Do a better job. You can't argue on the merits of something. Get a better argument. Take a more sound position. I find all attempts to persecute and censor and squash dissent cowardly. I don't give a damn if it's Mao Zedong, if it's Joseph Stalin, if it's Adolf Hitler, or if it's the modern authoritarian cabal that has become corporate media and the political class. And their alliance together with each other to control the channels of information. Because as I have said a million times, they didn't learn any lessons after 2016 that had to do with the actual grievance or debate of others. What they learned is that they needed to do a better job controlling information. That is what they learned. That is the only lesson they derived. Tragic. Tragic. Where we have major international wire services trying to convince you the shelves aren't empty. And if someone like me comes around to tell you why they are, he's got to go. It's pathetic. It really is pathetic. Let me read something here to myself. Grumpy old man. Yeah, Rich, you said it yourself. If they were interested in the facts, they would engage in discussion. Instead, they just go to attack the messenger. They go to attacking the messenger. Remember what we recently learned about the good doc and his friends deciding that they had to attack anyone that brought up gain of function. Well, Grumpy, that's exactly the line of questioning here. And what topic did they do? What topic did they use to try to marginalize them? Herd immunity. So after the events of this week, am I to think this is a coincidence? That this is a legitimate inquire into what my beliefs are and what I tell people? No, this is an attempt to get me thrown off of social media. This is an attempt to get me marginalized. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be shocked in the least if it was a direct phone call from them. Put somebody on this guy. Shut this guy up. He's too effective. Shut him up. It's not the first time it's happened to me. Why do I defend Project Veritas so much? Well, If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have known what Google did to us. After years of being publisher partners, after writing them, you want to talk about hashtag learn the code, after writing them for nothing, the WordPress Google News plugin, after putting a plugin in the plugin whatever it is for WordPress users, a simple, easy way, because they wanted a more diverse, they actually did back then. They wanted more diverse opinions, and they wanted smaller outlets to be able to get aggregated, but they had to follow certain general, which is on them. A lot of that is ethical and their editorial decision-making process, but we could help them understand that. And technical guidelines, which was really stupid stuff, like every URL has to have this, or if not, there needs to be a certain sitemap that's separate, and only this many URLs with the, or this many categories can be defined in each sitemap. And I did it for them. The editor's picks, they wanted a widget. Editor's picks, so users could put their favorite news channels on their Google News homepage. This was a while ago, but now Editor's Picks is gone. Now they have the Publisher Center for that. Okay, let me write you the Editor's Picks RSS feeds WordPress plugin. You guys do good claim review work. I see you have your trust indicators. Would you like and do you have the ability to implement the schema for claim reviews? It went from that to, God forbid, I called an election correctly when some other schmuck they want controlling the betting odds didn't. So thank you to James O'Keefe for showing me the documents that somebody leaked to him, one of their employees. Which, by the way, we kind of already had a tip-off from that anyway, from somebody who worked at Google Consumer Surveys. Unbelievable. The lengths these people will go to control the flow of information. And that includes a hippies. To tarnish you as some fringe, dangerous person who should not be allowed to have any kind of online presence or following. And I'm telling you, mark my words, it wouldn't matter what in the hell I said in response to this email. It wouldn't matter. They're going to take what they want out of it. They're going to twist it up. And they're going to publish what they want. I'm not sure if Don's here or Don's listening, but, you know, he knows. Guys in public relations, he knows. This just happened to him. You know what? I wish I would have alerted Don to when we were going to do this. I would have asked him to jump on with us real quick, and he could have told you the story. That's CNN. Imagine this for a second. Hey, Don Smith, I heard you're the media relations guy for so-and-so. We're doing an article on him. Yeah, right. An article. We're doing a hit piece on him, but whatever. After a while, you know how it rolls. Do you maybe have some time to sit down so we could talk it over? And then days later, the article comes out. After you do, in fact, you promptly respond to them. You sit down. You answer every question in good faith, honestly and thoroughly. And then they write up whatever the hell they want, which of course is patently false garbage. And at the end of the article, the so-and-so campaign did not respond to a request for comment. I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, this is what is going on. These are not truth tellers. These are not people trying to give you the true story, the inside story, the scoop. There are no journalists anymore. They're water carriers. We're way beyond biased media. This is something totally different. When the Associated Press goes to a known propagandist to fact check somebody who they can't stand, they want to destroy, they want to deperson and professionally destroy, who is arguing about propaganda tactics, when they want to go and debunk him, destroy him, and they go to a propagandist who quotes Joseph Goebbels, we have a problem. They're not journalists anymore. They are not journalists. These are bought and paid for smear merchants. That is their business. And that's their currency. The smear is their currency. They get off the desk with stories like this. They make their bones with stories like this. They benefit from destroying others. These are not good people. And they lie. They're liars. And they know they're lying. It's a whole new world, folks. A whole new world. I could come up with a million other examples. It was the first time I ever met Mike Cernovich. We were like in DC doing totally separate things. And he heard I was in DC and he's like, yeah, you know what? Invite him. You know, he sent somebody to go invite me to some party he was having. And I had read horrible things about these parties. These it really basically is just like a gathering to talk about freedom and ideals and stuff like that. But you would never know that from the stuff that you would have read in the papers. So I'm like 3 blocks away and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go check this out, see what's up. Get there. Antifa's there, of course, trying to attack everybody. Right. And next day first of all, I walk in there. And it's like, what's that guy? They depersoned him. Stefan Molyneux. And a whole host of other people. And I go around and I'm like, you know, walking around and talking to people, you know, trying to get a feel. Like, this is the first time I ever met them. Like, I wonder what, you know, if what is the message they're trying to give to these people that are there? Straight, gay, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, blah, 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 blah. Down the line, it was more diverse than a Democratic National Convention. But the next day, of course, it was a bunch of white supremacists talking about, you know, generally how to support Donald Trump. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's not reality. They don't even get close to reality anymore. They don't care. It didn't. And by the way, there were journalists there. They know damn well that's not what was happening there. They don't care. There were other journalists, like Laura, I know you're in the chat, you can tell them. There were other journalists at the Trump rally in Tampa where Jim Costa lied about being attacked by Trump supporters from Fox News, from everywhere. CBS, ABC, you know, NBC, MSNBC. They saw it. Not a single one said, that's a stunt. That was a stunt. The guy was never in any danger. And in fact, they were like, everybody was pretty much smiling. Not a single one. Not even Fox News. That's a stunt. By the way, Fox, OAN, this weekend, Newsmax, next weekend, next month, Fox News. They've been trying to come after your real moneymaker for years now. Fox is nothing without Tucker Carlson. If Tucker goes, if the smear merchants get Tucker, because the smear merchants found out what I just told you before, which is that the business model is broken. The money will dictate the segments, will dictate the content. And if they can get to the money, then it really doesn't matter what they're saying about Tucker Carlson is true or not. If they can get to the money, he's off the air. They found that out a long time ago. Without Tucker, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. All right, let's go into a couple other things here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And frankly, I wanted to use today to talk about the public polling project, especially with the locals community, which maybe we'll do. I'm going to try to test this with you anyway. And if it's a successful test, I'll start with just a virtual camera first. So you can stream to locals just using Wirecast as a virtual camera. Laura and I got some pretty cool stuff. It looks really cool. So as much as I appreciate StreamYard being the backup every time something goes awry, I really want to go back to that other platform. It's just so many cool things. Not a second too late either, because we have the midterms coming up. At some point, we are going to announce what we're going to be doing for the midterms. Whatever it is going to be big. There's a lot of people asking me whether or not I can, go on their networks. I may or do something like we did last time, and I've been debating that for a while. And soon we're gonna come to a decision on that. But whatever it is, a major part of the stipulation, if I do decide to partner with somebody else, a major part of the stipulation is that absolutely this time this has to go to you guys as well, and our stuff cannot be excluded. So it will go to our channels, it will go to our communities, and it will go through our stuff, our platform. Because last time you had to tune into other people, and that we're not playing that game this time. We are not playing that game. And Decision Desk has a lot of cool new stuff they've been emailing me that they're going to have for election night, and it's going to be super cool. So not a moment too soon, or a moment whatever, whichever the slogan is. But maybe when we'll do that, just to get to the heart of what I was talking about. When I test out that virtual cam for locals to see, play with new toys that we have and whatnot, we'll use that to talk about the questionnaire. I did answer somebody. I'll have to go back and look. I'm sorry. It was, sorry, I can't remember your name, but there are a lot of good ideas of what we can do because it is past the holiday now. But we're damn near the goal. Let me check. You want to check it together? Let's check it together. We are really close, and I mean really close. Eyes are almost totally healed, except for when I'm under the lights of the show. That's where it gets a little bit difficult. All right, we are at. Let's share the screen. Do this real quick for everybody. Public polling project. We are at very close, almost about $2,000 away. We're about almost 2/3 of the way. I feel good about that pace. All right. Don't forget to put your comments. I see a lot of your comments there. If you have something you want to put in there, like there's a lot of appreciation comments. And don't get me wrong, Lauren, I love that. We appreciate you guys right back. But absolutely. Oh, here we go. Let me put you guys can't see. I forgot I added that next step. There we go. We're 2/3 of the way there. There's a lot. If you have a suggestion that you want to see in the survey, go ahead and put it in here because we're going to see it. Even if you're anonymous, your name will be anonymous, but your comment will not be. All right. So if that's all right. But we definitely want to hear your suggestions. If you contribute to it, we want to hear it. All right. So that gets into where we're going right here. They're getting scared with Mr. Potato Head tanking. That's what I'm saying. Did you see that One American News, OAN, has been dropped from DirecTV? Absolutely. And why did they get direct? This is what I'm saying. So, the Media Matters of the world, right? These smear merchants. The difference is there used to be a line between David Brock and the BBC. There used to be a line between David Brock and the Associated Press, but there's not anymore. In fact, during the Trump era specifically, now it's a little bit different because once they get power, and it's the same thing with Republicans, fight for the message, right? But it was Brock and company all the way through during Trump's administration, which is why you constantly heard the same talking points everywhere you went. If you were on NBC, MSNBC, CNN, you read the New York Times, the Washington Post, they literally sent out press releases, literally sent out memos, talking points. Like, that's how scripted this world is. Few words. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. And it was no accident that they constantly spoke not only about, but to the suburban woman. That was not an accident. I read the memo myself. They knew they were engaging in the biggest social desirability bias campaign ever undertaken. And they did it. And everyone from Jake Tapper, the so-called honest journalist, flagship at CNN, to the not-so-honest Anderson Cooper and Don Lemon, to the supposed political guru at MSNBC, Chuck Todd, and NBC, all over the place, you heard the same damn thing. Because there is no difference anymore. That's who they are. This is what they do. And they are not at all separated from the political machine anymore. It's a dangerous place because they are supposed to be the ones who police the machine. They're the watchdogs of the machine and the guard dogs of the people. You're supposed to be. Now they're just professional character hitmen. That's all they are. Water carriers for that machine. Anyway, yeah, so that booted us, but you can see it right there. Doing pretty good. Just about $2,000 away. That's not at all. That's really good. I actually don't expect us to have some of the issues that we had. It was the holidays. So I fully expected that we would slow down. The other surveys, they got funded. We had no problem funding them. And I don't expect them to be a problem this time either. The hive mind does not critically think at all. All right, Techno Data. How do you see alternative media sources growing in the next few election cycles? What should the populist right be doing to encourage more people to seek them out as primary sources of information? That's a fantastic question on both accounts. But let me tell you, Techno, what's been effective for me. I find an issue that people care about. All right? Let's say they still believe the media. I find an issue that they care about, and then I show them that they've been lied to. And look, you're not always going to be met with the greatest. You're not always going to be met with the greatest. You're not going to be welcomed when you do it all the time or right away. But if the long term, it can, they can appreciate it. And then also, don't be like them. Which is to say that like everything that they read on alternative media is going to be perfect. When you're trying to talk to people about this stuff, explain to them. Nobody always gets it right. And you shouldn't read alternative media or watch alternative media like they're always going to be right. I'm not trying to convince you to do that. I'm asking you to accept that this side is corrupt and this side is lying on purpose, and that you should really read both or approach them both with a healthy degree of skepticism. And from there, you will learn to ferret out the truth yourself. Don't put people down. I had this guy in the Army. Hess, you ever watch this show? I wonder if you ever do, buddy. I almost got peered out of the process. I was a big mouth from the Northeast. A lot of guys who tried out, went through the 18 X-ray program. These were guys who salted the earth, Midwest, Southern boys, just, different than from where I came from. I'm very proud to be, an old school, at least New Yorker, and that lived in Jersey for a long time. They called me Jersey, but I had a mouth. And I had a way of talking to people that, some people just don't appreciate, like Donald Trump, for instance. That's why I understand why Donald Trump talks the way he does. It's like, get over it, get some, get thicker skin, Mary, kind of thing. That's just how I grew up. And that's how Trump grew up. It was the old school New York. Now, New York is not the tough guy haven it once was. It's probably among the the weaker places. But I did learn from my good buddy Hess. I almost got peered out. I was right on the line. And what I mean by that is everybody gets a chance serving in a leader role. When you're training, you get, I don't want to talk about it too much, but everyone will get their chance to display their leadership skills and to get these jobs done, these tasks, these evolutions that you're giving. All right. And you got to do it. 3 wheels on a Jeep. Point A to point B, certain crates of ammo, point A to point B. And I was not nice about it. Like, I wasn't always, and now I found out later I'm a red, and greens are easier to coddle people. They're good leaders too, but they're easier to get people to do things because they want and they feel good about doing it for you. Not me. I'm a red, and I'm like, quit sucking wind, get it done. Get it done. You're making a disgrace out of all of us. Like, oh, it's not so nice. Anyway, when the vote came, it was very close, and I was one vote from being peered out by my own peers. All right, so I get called in, and the sergeant's basically like, at least I know you're doing your job, Jersey, because when you are, you typically have half of the people appreciate you for it, and the other half hate your guts. But you're on a very fine line, and if you don't improve the next time, you're likely to lose this vote. So I come out, and I'm like, damn. I thought I did a good, because we did do a good job. So I thought like the result was all that mattered. And Hess, great guy from West Virginia, he's like, come here, Jersey. And he said something I never heard. I've heard it before, since then, but I've never heard it. He said, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. Slapped me on the shoulder and said, remember that, big guy, and walked away. And it's true, though. And now I'm like a public opinion guy, and I look at the art of persuasion. It's like what I do. And he was so right. So when you're trying to convince people, to branch out and expand, their sources of knowledge, don't insult them. Maybe be understanding of actually about how easy it is to be duped in this day and age. Deep is the sea of misinformation that we navigate every day in this country now. And it's on both sides. It's just that I would say like the populist right, especially, the non-leftists, they just simply don't have the machine that the left does that can pump out so much misinformation. All right. So so on that note, I don't think that it's even remotely equal. Like, are there websites that Laura will tell you I can't stand that are right-wing websites because they're full of crap? Oh, yeah, absolutely. But they just don't have the reach. I will say this, though. To answer the first part of that question, here we go. Let me read you a couple stats, okay? Yeah, here we go. 2021 was not a good year for corporate media, who lied to the country about Joe Biden in order to get him elected on everything from his ability to handle a pandemic, when there was a history on that, to his foreign policy decisions, also as well as his connections with the Chinese and the Ukrainians, and his connections to his sons. Really, his son is just a fit. He is a media, that New York Post story had him dead to rights. Tony Bobulinski was a credible guy. I think after all of this, now we've gotten a year of Joe Biden. The economy is in the tank. It's garbage, and we're in for a lot of crap. I would encourage you guys to go read some of Publix's tweets in response to customers. I think we haven't seen the tip of the iceberg, or we have seen the tip of the iceberg barely on inflation. I think it's going to get a lot worse, and we're going to end up in a really bad position because Democrats and the president just don't, or the administration that surrounds them, do not have the capacity to change, to grow. They double down. And the media suffered for it this year by helping them to do this. CNN in 2021, primetime viewership dropped 38%. Fox News, they dropped 34%. MSNBC dropped 25%. ABC News, World News Tonight, down 12%. These are the old school guys. These are the most, when we poll local and the Alphabet affiliates, the local old broadcast television people are the most trusted, even though they're not greatly trusted. They're still the most trusted. CBS Evening News, down 12%. Nightly News, down 14%. Who got kicked out this year, folks? Chris Wallace at Fox News got the boot. Joy Reid, MSNBC, Comcast said, get rid of this woman. So they took a hit. Meanwhile, locals is booming. We absolutely blew our forecast out of the water Substack, booming. Look what happened to The Intercept over the last year. Yet look at Glenn Greenwald's Substack. Newsmax fired Emerald Robinson, yet look at her Substack. And, even the papers. The Washington Post on views. 44% decline in unique views compared to if you go from November to November, from 20 to 21. The New York Times, 34% decline in unique views. Even the social media networks. I told you they're going to be, because of this crap, they're going to be an echo chamber. 65% engagement loss between 2020 and 2021. And it's not it is not a Substack is, where, just to answer somebody, a Substack is like Glenn Greenwald has his own Substack. Matt Taibbi has his own Substack, I believe. This is where journalists, alternative media journalists, Glenn Greenwald left The Intercept, but he wasn't done reporting. He got a Substack where you can go and subscribe to it. And he puts out great stuff. I personally absolutely subscribe to Glenn Greenwald's Substack. And it also lets me know when he's going to do his videos. Everybody, look, Glenn Greenwald was on that. They reached 1 million paid subscribers this year. So everyone is throwing the corporate legacy media apparatus in the trash. And they need to have basically put the nail in their coffin. Getter has exploded. I think, what's his name? You Can Do It just joined Getter. There are leftists on Getter now. And there are Democrats on Getter. And you don't see the vitriol that you see on Twitter. Even though Twitter is becoming just this, bubble of a social media. It's just echo chamber of a social media. Facebook, they're on their way down. Their audience, it's on the downturn. You keep moving to alternatives, and just and remember that you are actually the product on these sites. So, you don't rely on them or use them for things that you used to. And they can't stay this big and powerful forever. Then they won't. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. Let's see. Now Biden's agenda is stymied, from mandates to the filibuster to get their voting rights. You think they'll try to gain momentum, like being reckless with Russia and Ukraine? Yeah, I really am worried about what they're doing with you meddling in Ukraine. Russia is not in the position that they used to be in. Biden, they look at as a weak and feckless old man. I'm serious. I'm serious. I mean, look, they respected Donald Trump, even had a healthy fear of him. Everything the media told the country over 4 years was a total lie. Putin had a healthy respect for Donald Trump. He knew he was finally a president who looked out for the interest of his own country, not the interest of some global Western cabal, which Putin hates. And Russia is in a position now where they don't have to take this crap anymore. It's not just the man, it's the position that these elites have put our country in. We are grossly weaker. 4 years Donald Trump was president, we were completely distracted by fake disinformation campaigns about Russia and collusion when we could have been focused on the real threat, which was China. And by the way, the obvious alliance they have with certain elites in our own country who are selling us out to the CCP. Who, whether they did it intentionally or not, enabled the Chinese in the wholesale murder of hundreds of thousands of Americans through a deadly pathogen that they unleashed on this world without consequence. And ask yourself, why on earth, ladies and gentlemen, would there not be a bipartisan effort to hold the Chinese accountable for what has happened, whether it was intentional or not? Why do you think that has not happened? I can think of only one possible reason. Because they had a hand in it too. Because they're in it with them. And I also would worry, Elon, I would worry about executive action. Because with the mandate, for instance, despite the fake legal and analysts like Lawrence Tribe, such a hack, this guy. He is literally the guy everybody cites to explain that Roe v. Wade is not based in any sound law. It's not. And yet he'll defend it the next day. He knew damn well, they all knew damn well that they did not have the power for this mandate. I don't know what is Republican or Democrat about that. Why does the letter after your name dictate whether you believe somebody has the power to do something they do not have? But it worked. It was like a reverse strategy of what they did with the courts under Trump. They knew what Donald Trump was doing with the moratorium on immigration, for instance. They knew it was what the Supreme Court would later call squarely within the scope of presidential authority. But it didn't matter because the delay tactics worked. It's a reverse of what they did in that case with Donald Trump at every turn. Here, it's do it and bully as much as you can until the courts reverse it. Under Trump, it was bully until they uphold it. Now it's bully until they reverse it. I am going to save I'm going to save Donald Trump's comments for another time, which probably will be, this week. And DC Long Islander, I would encourage you not to let the media suck you into this fake fight between Trump and DeSantis. It is indeed that. They're terrified of Donald Trump coming back. And they're terrified because, look, Donald Trump, he'd win because of name recognition and because he has the "I told you so" argument. And I've never seen a Republican this strong in our polling. Even in 2016, when he was clearly stronger against Hillary Clinton, he was ahead more than he was behind, despite the fake media polls. I just think he has this like really built-in advantage now, and he's got a lot of new voters that are like, you know what, I'm sticking with him. But he would never be able to serve a second term. And so they're terrified. DeSantis is a rock star and he's unmovable, or at least he has proven himself thus far to be unmovable. So it's the only legitimate, logical choice for Donald Trump if he does run again. And if he does, they're looking at the prospect of like 12 years of Republican leadership in the White House, especially if Republicans can continue that move from working Hispanics to Republicans, because they're the only ones growing, ladies and gentlemen. White professionals are not growing. They're not. And the enlistment in a higher academics anyway, I think, is boomed at this point. Now, concerns about affordability. Is it worth a liberal arts degree to be in debt for the rest of my life? Like, that's over. That's how they created and manufactured all these academic leftists. If you grew up in my generation, you actually remember it. So I think DeSantis is actually somebody who has the ability to earn, because he's going to be coming from Florida, and he's going, he has a very diverse state. He's going to build on Hispanic coalitions. I think he can do that. I do. And he's good because he also has the message to do it. Only he and Donald Trump have the message to do it. I have seen nothing from Republicans outside of those two men that can suggest to me that they can make inroads. Youngkin did, but he engaged in the culture war, right? So what did he do? He engaged in the culture war. He drove the message. He was smart as hell in how he put it, how he stayed on message. And Hispanics shifted 30 points. But outside of that, I really, as a whole, Republicans as a whole, Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, I mean, it's a freaking joke. The three of you, let me just look into the camera and be real honest. You're going to get thrashed. You're going to be horribly embarrassed in front of the nation. I would strongly consider whether or not you want to go down like this. Pence, you too, man. Nobody likes you anymore. That's the truth. You're going to get thrashed, man. Thrashed. It's going to be ugly. And the media is definitely trying to drive a wedge between Trump and DeSantis because they're terrified of them. And they should be, as well they should be. You want to swing the female vote? You want to see how close the female vote can get? Look at Youngkin when you talk about gender-neutral bathrooms and transgender sports competitions like Ron DeSantis. DeSantis is actually leading with women in some of the polls in Florida. Most of them. He's actually leading with women. And Trump was like basically even with Biden in our last poll. And we're not the only ones. YouGov is like Trump +5 or 4, whatever it is. All right. Or whatever that other. I hope you guys, before I go here, let me just say a word. Looks like we're going to have, I know there's like that winter storm hitting a lot of the country. Everyone stay safe and sound. Sleet, freezing rain, no freaking joke. All right. It is no freaking joke. Take it very, very seriously. Next week, it looks like we're going to get the wintry weather. Right now, we're just getting hammered by thunderstorms and severe winds. All right. Timcast fan, People's Pundit fan. Dan Crenshaw types must go. Did you see him defend Cheney as principled? Dan Crenshaw is a textbook piece of garbage. This is exactly why I look, did I or did I not raise the warning bell? Ring the warning bell about Dan Crenshaw. Why? How did I know this was going to happen? Which is why I was very skeptical of Tom Cotton for a long time. But in the end, Cotton has turned out to be very solid when it comes to the base. He is doing what voters elected him to do. Dan Crenshaw is a fraud. There are a lot of these military-industrial complex serving Republicans. They pretend to be conservative, and they believe this old neocon version of conservatism is what conservatism is about. Liz Cheney is not principled. This is a family who murdered thousands of Iraqis with lies. That is a joke. Not even just horrible. Horrible. Pompeo, like Nikki Haley, I will say, did, and this is, I'm going to let you guys go after this. They did just enough to try to follow the Trump agenda in conscientiously attempting not to piss off the Trump base, but just enough behind his back to really stymie his effectiveness at getting things done. Pompeo did a great job with North Korea at the president's direction, but would have handled it very differently himself. Pompeo is a neocon. Pompeo is a war hawk. Pompeo would lose badly in a general election, as would Nikki Haley. By the way, she would get crushed. The country has no appetite for neoconservatism. There is no neocon, Lindsey Graham, warmonger, war hawk. That is over now. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take for the war hawk electorate to come back. It is nowhere in the foreseeable future. It's all about working class, working class, working class. And for people who get on me for saying, well, the white vote swings it so much more. When you appeal to the working class socioeconomic spectrum in general, you're going to cut across racial boundaries. In case, I don't know what else to tell people, except for you did not see that already happening under Donald Trump. It didn't happen as much in 2016 with other racial groups. He did improve for Mitt Romney, but it didn't happen as much because they took a longer time to, get into that coalition shift. Whereas a white working class who voted pretty significant, in significant numbers for Barack Obama, he wasn't a schlub when it came to that group. They moved in droves to Donald Trump right off the bat. Took a little bit of time because of George W. Bush, not because of Donald Trump, because George W. Bush destroyed the prosperity of the working Hispanic in this country, or at least his watch did. Anybody on that? Challenge any Rove or Bushite. Challenge any of you to a debate on that. I will crush you. You did this to the Republican Party, not Donald Trump. You think Donald Trump coming down the escalator talking about rapists and this, and they're not sending their best, you think they did that? Then why did he do better than Mitt Romney? Why did he do better than John McCain, who supposedly was going to be this great appeal to the Hispanic community because he was from Arizona? This is how stupid these people are. No, he does really well with Hispanics from Arizona. Holy crap, you're stupid. Anyway. All right, so with that in mind, let me talk about Dan Crenshaw a little bit more later. Look, I already kind of went into it, Laura. Dan Crenshaw is a warmonger. He is going to ally with the Cheneys. He is not conservative. He doesn't like Donald Trump. He has been talking crap about the America First movement every chance he gets. That's it. With that in mind, yeah, be safe again, though. That's what I wanted to say. It's bad out there in some places. Even right now, and I have to run to the damn store in a little bit. I'm going to try to pick a window where this rain and this deluge of water is not coming down. Get your t-shirts. Your hoodies. They're super cool. They really are. I'm loving mine. And I got some shirts, too. But Laura, I think she may have done another campaign. We got Accuracy Matters out there now. Laura, did you do that? I think that's live now, isn't it? I kind of wanted to get some first and see how it goes. But yeah, Accuracy Matters on the back, People's Pundit on the front, Accuracy Matters on the back. And I think inside the numbers, she did a bunch of work this weekend. I think she had a bunch of different designs proved. And we're actually going to move off to it. Eventually, we're going to make it so it's just weird on how these campaigns work. If you want to add something new, you need to start a different campaign and it's a different URL. That's not viable. We're going to have to get something where we have it all in our own space in our own store, right? And we'll have to go there. Yeah, Mel, check it out. This one I'm wearing right now, you can get it represent.com/People's Pundit, right, Laura? And it's cozy. It is cold, and I'm glad I got it because, man, it's cold out there. It's cold in here. All right, with that in mind, remember in a few days what I said at the beginning of this. Now you know how these hit pieces work, and it wouldn't even matter. This is totally outrageous. Totally outrageous line of questioning, and I'm not going to respond because it wouldn't matter. All right, somebody wrote in the comment section before, BBC, Barris declined to comment, but instead thrashed us on a live stream. Yeah. I never, now I expect it, but before, 20 years ago, you asked me whether or not I thought, there were journalists would be out there breaking HIPAA laws, or asking you to violate the principles of HIPAA. Man. Totally lost their freaking marbles. They really have lost their marbles. And this may be the most transparent attempt to smear me ever. And it definitely is the most insane, asinine line of questioning that I have ever seen. All right. I'm going to go. We will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget. And locals, I think that's what we're going to have to do because I don't want to try this again, go live. So we're going to do a stream to locals with the virtual cam. And I'm basically, we'll talk and I'll definitely do Q&A thing, but I want to try to basically just try things out, see how things look and go. And, this way we don't have another live glitch, right? All right, folks, as always, Sunday fun day. Sundays with the People's Pundit. Let's see if there's anything else in the future. I'm sure on Sunday, that we could do. I don't know that it would ever be any set time, but if there's something that I feel like ranting about, there'll be more of these because I'm telling you right now, there'll be more of these. They always come in threes, right, Laura? They come in threes. You'll see. Watch. All right, I'll let you guys go. Be safe, those of you who are being impacted by this winter storm, and I will talk to you very soon. I'll leave you a bad habit. Enjoy it.
How much you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. Rhythm in our love, it's impressive, excessive. You can't make this stuff up. My chest beats, it's restless, wakes the neighbors up above. Yeah, baby, come and show me love. Baby, come and show me love. Because you're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Get on a plane and take a one-way ride. Steal us away to find a place we can hide. It wouldn't take much to disappear for a night. Just to give into the need and leave it all behind.
'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. 'Cause I know that you know that I know that you want me. You told me, now show me, come blow me away. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette.